Hello, YouTubers, and welcome back to another episode of Freedom Friday here on the Ohio Patriot Education Network YouTube channel, and to obviously our special Black Friday edition, where we are going to discuss the anti-white racism in America and how it's completely out of control. This includes, but not limited to, all the recent attacks on white women by black criminals, etc., etc., and not to mention the fact that you have people like Maj Toure, who is out here basically throwing a bunch of anti-white racism around the last day or so. And I do believe with him specifically, he's trying to punch up as what it is and make a bigger name for himself off of people like Nick Fuentes, who are already actually known as what it is. And it seems like that is the case in a lot of cases in the last 6 weeks or so since the whole Tucker Carlson interview. There's a lot of people trying to make their name off Nick now is what it is. Which it seems kind of stupid to me that you would try to make a name off of somebody who is known for what the guy's known for, basically, at this point. But again, you do you, man. I don't tend to do that myself just because I'm not a fucking piece of shit trying to seek fame and fortune is what it is there. But, lies other people basically are what it is, so they love the thing I think is funny too is these guys love to shit talk, but yet they'll never say that stuff to this person's face because they get their asses kicked. What happened is what it is if they actually did that then. So, yeah, that's basically what it is at the end of the day. And even going to Maj, or his real name obviously is Martin Anthony Jones. So the dude grew up in Philadelphia, for those who don't know who Maj Toure is, because I actually talked to somebody about this earlier today. And a few other people actually, when I was at Walmart getting some food, I was doing a little polls that it was there, and literally nobody ever heard of this guy. So I would be willing to bet, honestly, he took 100 people of all ages and stuff like that, put them in a room together, and it was just 100 everyday Americans at that point. And you ask them, who is Nick Fuentes and what do you know about that person? You probably have a lot of people raise their hands and stuff like that and give you random answers. Where if you ask the same 100 people, you're like, who is Maj Toure and what do you know about him? And they'd be like, who? Or maybe there's one that would answer, raise their hand or something like that, probably what it would be. So, everything I've found out about Maj Toure in the last last basically 5 years or so since the whole BLM riots, the guy's basically just a douchebag is what it is. He is 100% basically pro-BLM is what it is. He is 100% infiltrator into the causes what it is there. And I mean, for God's sakes, the guy literally created a gun organization called Black Guns Matter. How is that not fucking race-based shit at that point, bro? So, which is hilarious because of the fact that when you look at the Libertarian Caucus he's supposed to be part of there, which they call themselves the Midas Caucus, I believe is what it is. Their whole thing here for their platform is reject identity politics at the last part of it there. So it's kind of funny because that is just pushing identity politics like crazy what it is there. But yeah, from everything I've heard about Maj, all he's ever done basically is give interviews to the mainstream media, babbling on about, gun control is racism and rooted in racism, and it's not. By the way, I want to point something out with that one. It's also classism. For those who don't know about that one, it's yes, the original gun control was based in racism. However, a lot of the time after that, it was also based in classism because there was a lot of poor white people that were fucked over too around those times. Hell, the whole NFA itself is based on classism because the entire point of the matter was with the tax stamps, they were trying to make it the exact same price as the Tommy gun at the time, which most people at that time in history during the Great Depression didn't have an extra $200 sitting around because they were all working poor. They were literally starving to death is what it was there. They were lucky if they could scrape together a couple potatoes and make a soup out of them for a week is what it was. So, there is a lot of classism in gun control as well, and especially nowadays too for that matter, because when you start looking into all these Democrats that are pushing this stuff, all these rhinos that are pushing it, and then all the anti-gun groups like Moms Demand Action, Bloomberg, Everytown, et cetera, there, Giffords, all these people like that, what they're actually pushing is it is a restriction on American citizens' rights, especially when it's based on age, too, for that matter. It's basically classism based on ageism is what it is then. So, yeah, it's like a whole different scenario now is what it is there. And from my understanding, at least from what I've looked into, there might be more stuff out there I haven't found yet or whatever, but from everything I've looked into, Maj has not once actually helped either at a state or a federal level pass anything. Like he's never helped specifically Pennsylvania pass any pro-gun stuff. There's what it is. He's never actually fought against gun control in his own fucking state. And yet, meanwhile, people like myself who've only been in the fight for like half a decade have already helped pass multiple pro 2A bills in the state and fought against gun control for our entire existence as a gun owner is what it is here. Because I've told you guys my story before. I got into, until 2018, I was not a gun owner. And then between 2018 and 2019, you then had the Dayton Massacre happen. Democrats tried to take away our gun rights here, and I've been fighting for gun rights ever since then. It's why I created Ohioans for Firearms. Why I created, yeah. Shit. I'm trying to remember what our OFF is now. Sorry, it was Ohioans for Firearms Freedom is what it was. And then that was the prelude to Ohio Patriot Education Network. And then obviously I created Texas Patriot Education Network last year is what it was then. And in 2023, we also created our own lawyer group. Basically never got the ground, so we couldn't find lawyers to actually do it pro bono is what it was then. So I'm still trying to get that done right now, but unfortunately that's kind of taking a back burner is what it is though. Because that would be the DOOR organization, DOOR. Which would be Defenders of Our Rights is what it is there. But anyway, the entire point of the matter is that when it comes to people like Maj, from my understanding, this dude has never helped pass any pro 2A legislation at all. And is basically just bitched and moaned for like his entire existence of being known of like, oh, racism this and racism that. And then meanwhile, we'll go to places like Virginia a few years back and start to threaten state officials and stuff like that while being armed. And it's like, this, if anything, this guy's a detriment to the fucking movement, in my opinion. So it's amazing to me that people will let this jackass basically continue on there. So, especially when he's hanging out with BLM terrorists and stuff like that. But, people will just let it go, man, or they'll just let it slide because a lot of people don't have the attention span anymore, so it is there. Which is sad. It really is. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Maj himself was actually either an accelerationist, or I was thinking this morning, actually, I think it might be a Fed, actually, is what it is. Legitimately, because what better way than to plant like some Fed in some like, ghetto in Philly and then be like, oh yeah, this guy's totally pro gun rights and stuff like that or whatever. And it's like, is he though? Or is he just divisionist? So, and that's another thing too, like it makes more sense when you start looking at like who's being given these mainstream media slots and stuff like that. And the fact this guy's been given so much coverage on like Fox News and stuff like that over the years. And then you got people like Richard Spencer being given all that stuff too. And we're like, I'm pretty sure everything I've looked into and other people in the network have looked into too. Like there's no way Richard Spencer's not a Fed at this point, or at least some like random, like low key, like, field agent or something like that's what it was then. So I would not be the least surprised if it turned out that Maj was actually the same way then. And then of course, when it comes to Nick Fuentes, like I could really give a fuck about that dude, honestly, at this point, dude. Like, it's like the whole broken clock is right twice a day thing. It's like Nick will say things that like sometimes it is spot on. And he will tell the truth and stuff like that, but other times it's just like, anti-Israel this or, F the Juice Crew that with him and stuff like that. So, it is what it is. But what I think is funny is the reason this whole thing started is because it was, I believe yesterday, I believe it was Wednesday actually, on X, you had Maj specifically go on this whole tirade against Nick, where he said, and some of you all take this collectivist clown seriously, and it was, quote, people have to believe in the authority of the state, forget about liberty and safety, it's about order. I don't believe in the individual. Individualism only makes sense in a white Christian patriarchal society. And it said all direct quotes from Nick. There's what it was. Again, do people not realize this dude's trolling like 90% of the time is what it is there, man? Like, I feel like that's a problem that people don't understand with Nick Fuentes, dude. Like, the guy is just a giant troll, literally. Like, 90% of what he says is all trolling. Or if it's not trolling, it's just like him being an idiot, basically. So, but again, like, the truth is said there is what it is, you know? Like, that's what America was built as. It was built as a white Christian nation back in the day, dude. Like, our funding, our fundamentals of our founding fathers were a bunch of white guys. You know, it wasn't until we had, like, the whole thing back in the day, after the fact, when you had, like, all this Reconstruction era and, like, Civil War and stuff like that, you actually had, like, the whole, like, slavery thing happen and all that shit like that's what it was then. And what's funny to me is that nobody ever seems to mention when it comes to the whole slavery movement and stuff, how so many of those people that were put on the ships as slaves are enslaved by their own races. Like, it wasn't a bunch of white dudes running into the African bush to grab people. It was a bunch of African tribes selling other African tribes into slavery is what it was there. So, not to mention when you look into the whole word slave, it comes from Slav, which is literally whites, who were the first slaves in the Arab slave trade. And a lot of people still won't talk about the fact that even today, you still have the Arab slave trade going on right now is what it is, where you have literal kids over in different African countries being thrown into burlap sacks. There's actually a video out there of this from this year even, of these young black kids being, like, cut out of burlap sacks because they were being sold to fucking people as slave kids. But yet, oh my god, something happened here in America 150 fucking years ago. Everybody still wants to hark on that bullshit. Just ridiculous. This is what it is, dude. And I think that's why we'll never come together as a country in general is what it is there. Not to mention, I've talked about it before, the whole melting pot theory being a fucking lie. It was basically, I believe it was a CIA operation of some kind. Kind of like Operation Northwoods was supposed to be there, where it was going to be, during JFK's administration with Northwoods, it was supposed to be them having dudes go down into Cuba and then come back in like they were illegals or whatever, that were going to do, like, terror attack stuff, whatever. But I believe that the operation itself, I'm not sure exactly what it would be called if it was ever released to the public or not, but basically it was during the beginning of JFK's administration is when you started having the whole melting pot terminology be used. And we're like, oh yeah, America's a melting pot, it's a melting pot, it's a melting pot. It's like, it never was that way, dude. It's just like how the stuff written on the Statue of Liberty's book there is what it is, was never actually written on it when it was handed to us by the French back in the day. That was added after the fact is what it was then, of the whole give me your tired, you're hungry, you're poor, your huddle masses thing. So, yeah, like almost all of our history right now is based on lies is what it is. Like even modern history from like the last like 60 to 70 years is what it is there. So anyway, but yeah, going back to what I was saying though, about the anti-white racism that are going on here in America being out of control right now. You have these people that will be these activist judges and stuff that are usually black females is what it is there. Like the most recent one there in Chicago, where you had this woman let this guy out who had 72 different criminal charges before this, including a laundry list of felonies. The guy was a serial fucking arsonist. Even the DA there in the court that day was like, Judge, this guy is a serious threat to society. Do not let him out. Which is what I don't understand, like, how you as a state then can't just be like, no, this guy is mandatorily held, and like overrule these judges and be like, no, like this is not happening. Like this guy is being locked up no matter what. But yeah, from what people were saying now, I guess it was either that day that the guy got out or it was the next day. He had gone to a gas station, filled up a bottle, like a 20-ounce water bottle, whatever it was there, with a bunch of gas, and then got on that train and set that girl on fire. And was like, burn, bitch, burn. And of course, it was a white woman. And then you got people like Jeremy Hamblin from the quartering there trying to be like, oh, well, she deserved it because she was pro BLM like 5-6 years ago, so it was there. Which, again, when you go back to that time period of history, there was a lot of peer pressure going on people back then, dude, especially in high schools and like college years and stuff like that, which I believe that Bethany McGee woman would have been like probably a junior in college would be my guess, give or take, maybe a sophomore someplace in there. So, you know, if she was on some college campus, like she was definitely being bombarded by that shit, dude. And being like, it was kind of like that, I don't know if you guys remember that. There's so many videos from 2020 though of the BLM riots and stuff like that, but there was one specifically that I remember, and I think it was either in California or it was maybe like Colorado or something. I think it was some part of California though, because of people outside that were eating on like some patio or whatever, and you had this. It was like maybe like 20, 30 strong mob of people that were all the BLM folks or whatever, and they were rocking up to random people, and they were basically forcing them to like raise a power fist in solidarity with BLM, or they were going to beat the shit out of them. That's what it was then. And so I guarantee it was probably something like that with that Bethany girl, or she was just brainwashed and indoctrinated into this shit, one of the two. So who knows? But either way, it was just sad. And like, did she deserve to be set on fire on a random train in Chicago? Fuck no, dude. That's disgusting. Is what it is. It's just like how that Irina woman didn't deserve to be stabbed to death on the other train, light rail, whatever it was there by that guy in Carolina. So, or like any of these other ones anymore now is what it is. And it's just crazy. This is what it is, dude. And it's sad. It's sad that we've come to this society right now. Or even just like the other day where you had it was some piece of shit Arab being let in under Biden's administration, who shouldn't have been let in this country anyway. I don't know if I believe CNN or not when they were talking about it yesterday, because they were claiming that supposedly the guy was vetted and passed everything to a T or whatever, and was like basically let in because of that. And it's like, if that is the case and that is true, that makes it so much worse than if that be the case, bro, because it's like, this is exactly why Islam should have been perma-banned from this country back on 9/12/2001, legitimately. It should have been 100%, like the Patriot Act itself should have literally just been like, any followers of Islamic beliefs are now permanently banned from the United States for life. That's what it should have read as. And then that should have been passed. And that should have been the Patriot Act. But instead we got a bunch of other stupid bullshit. So, yeah, I don't know. It's all a bunch of fuckery, though. But now Trump is basically calling for a permanent pause on pretty much all immigration from all these different Middle Eastern countries now is what it is. Which, again, this is what I've said for, like, what is it, like 5-6 years now? We just need to do a 100-year moratorium, dude, is what it is. Just do a 100-year moratorium on every single piece of immigration in this country. We get rid of legal, we get rid of illegal, get rid of all of it, dude. You start doing mass deportations of people. You kick everybody out. I would say, honestly, truthfully, the only thing that we should do during that time is we bring in one more group of immigrants, specifically asylum seekers, that would be the white South Africans. They're going to be genocided otherwise, because they will actually assimilate into our country and be part of a better America at that point. So you bring those folks in that are a bunch of farmers that can do a bunch of farm work, etc. there, and want to be American citizens and stuff like that. You bring in that, you know, a couple 100,000, maybe 1 million or so, give or take, whatever it be at that point. Meanwhile, you're booting out like 50, 60 million people because they're all illegals and, you know, third world trash, etc. There's what it is. And then you have a much better America after the fact, is what it is then, because you actually have, because of all these other people being gone now, you have housing going down, you have grocery prices going down, you have a labor market that now is basically needs the demand of the people, and we can basically write our own ticket when it comes to wages and shit then, is what it is. And yeah, it would be such a better country at that point then for American citizens. We would actually finally see Americans first for once, instead of seeing us be dead last to the fucking third world is what it is right now. So I would love to see that become reality at this point, but who knows if it actually will be or not. But yeah, we're going to go ahead and read this article here from Trump talking about migration. This is a Breitbart article. It was Trump says migration erodes gains and living conditions for many Americans. Yeah, it'd be for almost all Americans, bro. So Americans have been very patient while the federal government's immigration policy that eroded civil gains and living conditions for many, President Trump declared on Thanksgiving Day. Statement on Truth Social as he proposed to deport many more illegals, which the thing about that is, and the issue here is what it is that these people should have already been deported, dude. You should have been deporting at least 1 million a day, not a couple thousand here, a couple thousand there is what it is. So when you got retards like this, Washington Journal, Afghan refugees shouldn't be blamed for the violent act of one, except they all support it, dude. That's the entire point. Every single one of them. Just like the rest of Islam bullshit, dude. It's like, well, they might not be all quote-unquote extremists. They support the ones that are fucking extremists and jihadists and stuff like that's what it is. So yeah, you might have like 1 or 2 actual sharks in the swimming pool, but then you're going to have like 50 million that could become fucking sharks is what it is then. So why have any of them here at all is what it is then. It's fucking nonsense. It's just like all these people that I was getting into it yesterday with on X there, where they were all like, oh, but America totally was allies with these people. No, we fucking weren't, dude. They were trained by our military, and then what you saw was a bunch of green on blue attacks. Like there were so many of those going on over there where it was them literally giving these various Afghan people and these other Middle Easterns the ability to learn how to do weapons training and stuff like that and be like various security forces. And then as soon as they got their weapons, they would turn the guns on military soldiers that was there. Whether it be Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, whatever it was, doesn't matter. You know, and we saw a lot of this even in what's that movie, The Outpost? That's based on a real thing that happened there. As soon as these dudes realized that they were like fucking, you know, they were like Taliban and shit like that, we're all good to go or whatever, they just joined forces with them is what it was then. And we're trying to kill all these Marine guys is what it was then. And it's just so ridiculous what it is, man. Because there's so many of these young men that should be alive right now that were American citizens, that were American soldiers. But they're not, because we went to some fucking shithole country for what? For 20 fucking years to get fucked over, to have our young men be fed through a fucking meat grinder, or young women too for that matter. To see these people that came back either missing limbs or missing parts of their faces, and the ones that weren't were even more PTSD'd out than the ones that, you know, came back all fucking physically scarred. We lost an entire generation of great people, man. For nothing. So that you could hand fucking Israel a bunch of gold, literally. That's what the whole WMD shit was back in the day, for those who don't know. They literally raided Saddam's palace, put a fuck ton of gold on trucks, and then handed it to the state of Israel. So that's why in some cases I totally agree with Nick Fuentes on that shit, dude. Why he hates Israel so much is like a lot of us should, honestly, for that reason alone, honestly. When they want us to basically be their fucking military force for them against all these Middle Eastern countries. And when you look at all these different terrorist attacks nowadays, they're all just modern day versions of the Crusades at this point, because the Crusades never actually ended. Because if you actually look back in the history books, when it came to the Crusades, and they were supposed to be, England was supposed to have won or whatever then, that was a fucking lie too. And it's because when they rode up, there was literally like, they were outnumbered like 10 or 20 to 1. They never had the numbers to actually take out Islam then. And so then it basically just flourished after that. And that's why we've seen, what is it, like 87 countries or something like that now are predominantly followers of Islam. Like, what the hell is that shit, dude? It's fucking insane. And now they're trying to take over the UK and the US both. It's absolutely fucking nuts, dude. So, yeah, it's like kick them all the fuck out, permanently ban their asses, and get rid of all of them, dude. It would be a much better country overall than it is then. So, actually, one of the most horrible stories I heard yesterday, if I can find it here. I'm gonna see if Breitbart actually has it on their site or not, real quick. Because it was about a guy who survived 9/11 and then was killed by 3 YNs recently. Okay, so it's not coming up there. Let me see if I can find it on the thing then. Yeah, because I believe this guy survived the I want to see he survived the terror attacks, is what it was then. Yeah, here it is. Yeah, World Trade Center worker who escaped 9/11 was beaten to death by 3 black teens. Just absolutely fucking disgusting, man. Let's go ahead and pull this up real quick. I think this is what we're getting off today with is this story. Shit. Why is it not? There it goes. Sorry, my StreamYard's being a little funky right now. Yeah, it was former World Trade Center worker who narrowly escaped on September 11, 2001. You and your support. Get out of my face with that. Has been beaten to death by 3 teens, one of whom was just 12 at the time of the attack, according to officials. Long Island native Roger Bocum, 64, was found severely beaten just before midnight, October 19th, in downtown Jacksonville, Florida, after 3 teens were seen kicking and stomping him, according to the arrest report in the Jacksonville Sheriff's. He was found with blood pooled around his head and a blood trail extending down the sidewalk, the arrest report said. There's a picture of the guy that was killed right here. So the attackers were seen rummaging through his backpack and then returned about 20 minutes later, kicking him multiple times. In total, the same suspects were seen battering the victim 3 separate times. Said Bocum, a widower who was homeless at the time, died 4 days later of his injuries. And there's the piece of shit that was the youngest little asshole in this whole situation. Said 3 suspects: Justin Curry, 13, who was this jerk off right here. Markevius Lacey, 19, and Robert Pope, 17, were arrested within hours of the attack. They were all indicted on murder on November 20th, according to Jacksonville Sheriff's Office press release. Yeah, so you got dipshit number 1, who's now 13, who was 12 at the time of the attack. You got dipshit number 2, who was the 19-year-old, who looks like a real fucking retard. And then dipshit number 3, who was 17 at the time. It said Curry was just 12 at the time of the attack. One of the suspects blamed the attack on Bocum, a stranger, having, quote, dissed their dead homies. The report said, yeah, that's bullshit, dude. Guys didn't say nothing. They're just fucking making shit up to try and justify their literally black supremacist bullshit is what it is there. Their anti-white racism is what it is. So the case is a heartbreaking reminder of how young some offenders have become and how devastating the consequences are for victims, families, and the surrounding community, Sheriff's Office said. Parents and guardians get involved in their children's lives, take action before it's too late. Well, see, this is the problem, though, right? Because I guarantee none of these guys come from a fathered home at all, is what it is. Guaranteed. They're all from fatherless homes. Probably single mother households. Probably EBT recipients is my guess, honestly. And yeah, it's a bunch of shit, honestly, dude. And again, shows exactly what's wrong with our society right now is what it is. And what the real problem is when you have these people make up 50% of the homicide in our country while being 30% of the population, when they make up like I think it's like 30% of all sexual assaults now is what it is, or like sex offenders, if I'm not mistaken, on registries and shit like that. It's fucking nuts, dude. It's like it's almost like these people saw American History X and were like, that's what I need to become. A statistic. It's just fucking nuts to me, is what it is, man. So, yeah, just absolutely insane is what it is, man. And I really think it does have to do with IQ at this point. Like, we just need to start having these conversations about IQ is what it is, man. And if nothing else, just have like a baseline for voting rights when it comes to IQ, if that be the case then. So, where it's like an IQ test, constitutional test, something like that, maybe a mixture of both things if that be the case. And you got to be like way smarter to actually hold office, and that's what it is. Because I guarantee if that were the case, there'd be a lot of stupid motherfuckers on both major parties being booted out right now, is what it is then. So, but anyway, I got some other stuff to do today. It's almost 4:30 right now, so I'm going to go ahead and call it a day. I'm going to finish up munching on some lunch I was having earlier that I got from the store. Because I'm going to do a grandstand one of these days soon. We're going to talk about the insane price of groceries. Actually, you know what? Fuck it. We'll just do that right now, actually. So I ended up spent almost $188 today on basically probably 3 weeks worth of food at max. So it's absolutely ridiculous what it is, man. So anyway, but yeah, there was I do want to talk about that real quick before I go today, though, because there was some crazy shit. It basically does show like the extortion going on in our society right now from some of these grocery chains and just these corporate billionaire scumbags in general, with the kind of prices that they're charging for stuff right now is what it is, for the quote unquote convenience of the things, which was, let me see if I can find it here right now. Oh, yeah, that was another thing that came out too. So supposedly, going back to the Afghani terrorist guy that killed those two National Guards people the other day, because I believe one of them was a guy. You had Alex Jones talk about this yesterday. He said 2 weeks ago, General Flynn predicted on the show that elements of the CIA would activate Islamic terrorist sleeper cells in the United States in the coming months, if not weeks. And that's exactly what happened then. So I look for more of that to happen right now. I would not be surprised in the least by 2026 if we actually saw that day of wrath become reality right now is what it is. Which would not be good at all, obviously. But yeah, this is the post I was originally talking about. And then there's a second one from a different guy that I'll talk about in a minute here. But this was some chick going to where's she at now? A Wegmans grocery store on Thanksgiving, where pre-packed mac and cheese, butternut squash, and stuffing that you basically threw into an oven were all $42 each. And as Wall Street was pointing out here, he said, these are just pre-made items you can throw in the oven. Wigman family owned multiple luxurious waterfront estates on, not sure how to pronounce that word, some kind of lake in New York's Finger Lakes region, known as their family compound. These homes are massive with extensive amenities, including a heated outdoor tennis court. Jesus Christ, dude. We'll see, and that's the thing. I think what we're seeing here with this kind of stuff, though, is like, you know, you see people being like, "Oh my God, it's $42 for that," or whatever. It's like, yeah, dude, because it's literally a convenient thing that you just throw together. You know, throw together, you just literally pop the top off of it and throw it in the oven, basically, for like an hour, whatever it is. Then, and I think that's what it is. Like, I think it's somewhat convenience, but it's definitely extortion at some point. That is what it is. I think that's what the point right now is. What it is when you have like a pound or whatever it is there. Like, yeah, it's just fucking extortion. Is what it is, bro, for real. So, and this is also what happens when you have these different corporations being like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna do $27 an hour," whatever the case be. So, And then there was another one from them. Let's see. Actually, this is an interesting one that was about a half hour ago. It was Andrew Wilson talking about some stuff. It says Muslim country, first cousin marriage rates and average IQ of 100 is considered average. So let's see, you got Pakistan, 65% first cousin marriages, 81 IQ. Saudi Arabia, 58%, 76 IQ. United Arab Emirates, 82, 80, 63, 81 in Qatar, almost 79 in Oman, 70, not even 75 in Syria, just below 87% or 87 IQ in Turkey, almost 81 in Jordan, 76 in Egypt, 67 in Monaco. Good Lord, dude. Yeah, 46% are first cousin marriages in Afghanistan, 82.1 IQ. IQ below 70 is considered mental retardation. IQ of 100 is considered average. So yeah, they're either below average or pretty much retarded is what it is there. Or damn close to retarded is what it is. Actually, Yemen is straight retarded. Legitimately by that logic. Yeah, Yemen falls into that. Monaco falls into that. What is that? Martinia? Not even sure how to pronounce that word. And there's a lot that almost do. So fucking crazy, man. But yeah, let me go find that other one now. Wow, that's crazy. We're talking about Disney parks in California there. So this is what it's like visiting Disneyland in California during holidays. Remember, one holiday single day ticket can be up to $224 with park hopper. The cost is $1,256 for a single day for a family of 4. Who would spend almost $1,300 for a one-day trip, dude? That's just fucking nuts. You can do so many things with that money, man. Fucking wild, bro. Apparently, Sam's Club is caught doing a Black Friday scam on their tote things. Said bins on the Black Friday sale are $15.98. Price tag hidden behind the new one. Before it was $14.98. So it would have been $1 less. Wow. Same bins during the summer were $12. Well, that's the thing people don't realize when it comes to quote unquote Black Friday sales. It's basically, I think it's usually the end of July or early August is when they'll start to like slowly increase the price of things like that. And then they'll quote unquote cut the price right before Black Friday is what it is there and be like, oh yeah, look at our Black Friday sale, even though it's like $10 more than it was over the summertime or something like that. So yeah, in most cases you're just better off to go during the spring or the summer is what it is then and buy the shit that's what it is. But anyway. Trying to see if I can find my thing here from yesterday. This dude's page. Oh. That was an interesting one too, by the way. So since the attack on the National Guardsmen in D.C. the other day, you then had Muslims in Dearborn, Michigan call for a revolution against America after D.C. National Guard shooting by the Afghan national. Dude is literally repeatedly yelling revolution in Arabic. Again, why the fuck are these people on our country's soil, dude? Ever. They should not be here. They have no business being here. Kick them the fuck out. Boot their asses for life. Simple as that. And we're a better nation overall than it is. So. Okay, so I just found the one. Weird. I know I saw another. Oh, there it is. Okay, here I find it now. So yeah, so that woman that was at that Wegmans grocery store, there was a different guy that went to a different one in New York State, where they had a sorted cookie tray that was $42, shrimp cocktail, not even a big one, $65, cheese and pepperoni tray, $45, beef tenderloin, almost $35. Fucking insane, dude. Yeah, it's not even a big cookie tray, dude. That's like fucking teeny for $42. Shit, I could make something bigger than that for probably that same price. I just want to see it. Oh, that's a really small shrimp cocktail. Is that like maybe 30 pieces in there? Fucking nuts, dude. Yeah, at some point that shit's just extortion, man. You can't tell me it's not. So, anyway. But, yeah, on that note, I'm going to go ahead and call it a day then. Because I got some stuff I got to do, and then I got to get some things together. Apparently my niece is staying with my sister tonight for a sleepover. So, having a fun time with Auntie. Yeah, hopefully tomorrow I'll be able to take down all the things here, but I'm not sure yet. Just depends if I can get my blow dryer to them off enough to where I can just like let them fall basically. But anyway, other than that, that's pretty much wrap for the day. Hope you guys enjoyed this. I will be back tomorrow at some point for Slicey Boy Saturday. We will be discussing a couple different knives that were on sale a while ago. They're not on sale anymore, and how they're not that great, honestly, for what they are, and especially not the original price point that they are now is what it is. So, and I'll also talk about one that I got a while back that's kind of a cheaper knife, but it's pretty good. It's a nice little fixed blade. So, other than that, I will see you guys tomorrow, and till later, have a good one. Stay safe, stay vigilant, always be carrying, always be situationally aware, and never be the victim. Peace out, y'all. Later.